What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bucco Territory presented by the Foul Territory Network. I am Noah Hiles. He is Platinum Key, aka Mark. And Mark, hit the sirens.
Let's go.
It's another breaking news trade alert. The Pirates make another big move here. In December, they acquire Brandon Lowe, Jake Mangum, and Mason Montgomery in a 3-team trade. And all they gave up, Mark, is Mike Burrows. I have a lot of analysis on this deal, but I know the fan in you has to be going absolutely nuts right now because it seems like they got a lot for only giving up one.
I let out a huge woo right as soon as I saw the Ken Rosenthal, like the Pirates are getting close, like rubbing my hands together, like come on, make this happen. And once we saw that it's been confirmed pending medicals, this is so exciting. This is exactly what we've been begging the Pirates to do. We've been saying, hey, Brandon Lowe's right there. Go get him. And look at that. They did it. So, I'm ecstatic. The excitement level's palpable, and it feels like this team's a lot closer than they were just a few hours ago.
Right. And I want to start by saying this. This is by no means a winning ball club right now, as currently assembled. You look at their lineup. You could still argue they have a pretty big hole at catcher, at least offensively. First base looks pretty good. Second base looks pretty good. Shortstop will look pretty good come like May. But third base was a question heading into the offseason. It's still a question. And then I think you can maybe add either a corner outfield spot or the designated hitter spot as another question. I think if you address those two spots, third base and either primary DH or another outfielder and make Reynolds the primary DH, now you're really cooking with someone or something. But this is a big first step, or a big second step, I should say. The first step is getting Garcia from the Red Sox, and we're going to talk about how he kind of fits into all of this. But Mark, obviously the headliner of this deal is Brandon Lowe, a guy the Pirates have been reportedly interested in for quite some time now. Someone who they've been rumored to be honing in on since, the start of this offseason. And they get a guy that profiles to be exactly what they were looking to bring in this offseason. He doesn't have a ton of club control, but this is a guy who hit 30 home runs last year. I will say, I think he played in a pretty hitter-friendly park. So maybe the number won't be as high this next year. But even if it's 25, even if it's 20, he's a professional at bat. He's someone who provides consistent above average power from the left side of the plate. That's what they needed.
Exactly.
That's what they needed. And I think he's someone that lengthens that lineup, someone that maybe gives a little bit more protection to Reynolds and Cruz. Maybe you bat him between those two guys. Maybe you bat him in front of one of them and then find another guy, maybe your right-handed bat to put in front of the other. But overall, he's the headliner. Brandon Lowe's a Pirate. Look at your smile, Mark. Give me your thoughts.
I've been smiling just literally since this happened. Finally, we have some extra power. We have another left-handed bat. Everything that we've been asking for all offseason. There's not necessarily a lot to break down just because it's like, this is an awesome move at a price that is very palatable. To only give up Mike Burrows, and we'll get into the other pieces here, but just Burrows for Lowe, I think there's questions if that would have been enough. Lowe only has 1 year left on his contract, but you don't get too many second basemen that are going to hit 30 home runs. And
right.
Yeah, so you got to pay to get players of Lowe's quality, and I feel like Burrows is a very fair asking price.
Yeah, and it's not like they just gave up Burrows for Lowe either.
Right.
I think it's important to highlight the other two guys in this return because they are more long-term assets. Mangum last year played 118 games as a 28-year-old rookie, where he hit 296, was worth, I believe, 1.6 BWAR. He's a switch hitter, a guy who's above average defender, who runs the bases really well. Not a ton of pop, but Mark, to circle back to the first deal they made this offseason, getting Garcia from the Red Sox, this is a perfect platoon for him, in my opinion. You have a guy who's kind of boomer bust, who hits from the right side with a ton of power, who's super young, in Garcia. and you pair him with an older guy, someone who played a ton of college baseball. He's the SEC's all-time hits leader. He hits from both sides of the plate, who's probably the better defender of the two, who can steal a lot of bases. He can be a late game sub at all three outfield positions. Essentially, he's the guy that they wanted Ji-Hwan Bae to be at the major league level. And so I love the way this platoon unfolds because you have a little bit of everything. You have some speed, you have some power, you have some bat-to-ball skills, you have a little bit of age versus a little bit of youth. Both of these guys have minor league options. I think Mangum still has 3 minor league option years, and Garcia should have all of his minor league options because he only played 5 major league games last year. So theoretically, I think that's probably going to be one of your corner outfield spots. With Reynolds occupying right field, I see those two probably competing to be everyday guys in left. I think Mangum probably gets that spot to start just because he was an everyday player last year. He probably wouldn't have been an everyday player for the Rays. But I think he profiles well. He's not a game changer, but he's a solid platoon guy that you can have on your roster for the foreseeable future.
I love him off the bench. It's speed, defense, like late in the game, if you're in the playoffs, he's a great guy to have on your playoff roster.
He is. And there's going to be stretches throughout the season where, O'Neal Cruz might go down for 10 days or Reynolds or, heck, someone else. And this is a guy that, if you're starting 162 games, that's probably not the best. But if he has to be your leadoff hitter, if he has to be, a primary starter for a month or two, I don't think it's the end of the world because he did it for the Tampa Bay Rays, who were semi-competitive last year despite, some pretty tough accommodations they had to play through. The other part of this return is also intriguing. Montgomery, he seems to be the bigger throw-in of the three, I would say. But at the end of the day, Mark, I mean, this is a guy, he's a left-hander whose fastball sits 100. The Pirates,
gives you something to work with.
Yeah, and the Pirates do well with these types of guys. They have a really good, pitching group who will now look to maximize this guy. I mean, the fastball velo per Baseball Savant is in the 97th percentile, as is the whiff rate. The K rate is at 90% in the 90th percentile, chase rate at 83rd percentile. So the stuff is clearly nasty. But
I think his fastball has a lot of induced vertical break as well to it, like 20 some IVB. So
and he's a simple 2-pitch guy. He's fastball, slider. The Pirates teach these guys well. I mean, some names come to mind like Jared Jones.
That's exactly my mind.
Obviously, he's throwing from the left side. But he's wild. I mean, the 12.9% walk rate isn't great. I mean, the barrel rate is still not ideal at 32nd percentile, 9.3%. In the standard baseball card, numbers aren't pretty. I mean, he had a 5.67 earned run average last year. But again, this is a guy who was a 6th-round pick. He's 25 years old, and he's a lefty who's going to pitch out of your bullpen, and his top pitch is a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. And if he's your throw-in, in addition to a platoon guy who has tons of control, and Brandon Lowe, who hit 30 home runs last year at second base, and you're giving up, and that's where we can pivot this conversation, Mike Burrows, who, let's take a look at Burrows. He was an impressive rookie last year, no doubt. But there's a chance this guy wasn't even going to make the opening day rotation, as is it currently assembled. Now, there's a chance that he could keep the ball rolling and do really well in Houston. I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. But if I had to choose between keeping him or Braxton Ashcraft,
easy,
I would keep Ashcraft. If I had to choose between keeping him or Hunter Bucco, I would keep Bucco. I mean, I think I would trade Harrington ahead of Burrows, but I don't think you get this return for Harrington. And I'm certainly not moving Bubba Chandler for something like this. So this tells me that A, Mitch Keller is probably sticking around now, which is something I did not expect to say this winter. And B, I mean, Burrows is just a guy, again, not a guarantee to make this starting rotation. And his health isn't a guarantee. He's only a few years removed from Tommy John surgery. Certainly showed a lot of promise. His changeup's a nasty pitch. I wish him all the best in Houston. I had some good conversations with him during his rookie season last year. But if you would have told me that you could just get Mangum and Montgomery for Burrows, I would strongly consider making that deal. The fact that you're getting Lau in addition, is remarkable. I think this is one of Charrington's best trades.
I was just about to say this feels like I'm trying to think what would be a better Charrington trade than this. I love it. So I
Yeah,
mean it's extremely fairly priced, and it sets up free agency now too.
it
We were
does.
just talking a couple days ago about how, if the Pirates were to make a trade before they go after some of these free agents, that might push people a little bit more to sign with the Pirates, seeing, oh, now I have Lau in the lineup behind me or in front of me. I have a little bit of extra protection. This team actually seems like they're committed to winning, to competing. Yeah, it's a really encouraging move.
Yeah. So now let's talk about what's next here. Like we said, I mean, it's harder to see Keller
Right.
go now, right? And honestly, you feel pretty good about that.
I'm
When
smiling ear to ear for that. Yeah,
when
Mitch Keller's a
you're
dog.
looking at what this rotation can be, if you were to go into next year with Brandon Lowe in your lineup, with potentially other additions and some young controllable outfielders who can play in a platoon, and your top three is Skeens, Keller, or Chandler,
Yeah.
with Ashcraft at the 4, and then we can talk about what else could be at the 5, be it Hunter Barco, be it,
Mm-hmm.
a Thomas Harrington, maybe somebody else. So let's talk about how they fill out the rest of this team. I'll give my thoughts real quick. I think they're still 2 bats away. Connor Griffin aside, you look at third base and you look at either designated hitter or another outfield spot.
Mm-hmm.
However you want to play Reynolds next year, if you want to make him your primary DH and go acquire another outfielder, I think you can do that. If you can go get a primary DH, maybe a Marcell Ozuna, and you're comfortable having Reynolds be your everyday right fielder again, I think that's fine too. Obviously, you're probably sacrificing some defense for offense
Oh yeah.
there, but I don't have a huge issue with that. Third base is clearly the only place in the infield that really is an area of need now. Mark, I mean, what's your shopping list look like?
Yeah, I think third base is where I would start. Murakami's got just 3 days left before he signs somewhere on Monday. And then you have Okamoto January 4th. So I'd look at one of those two guys. I know Murakami's got a lot of concerns, but at the same time, you got to take a risk and got to find power somewhere to add to this lineup. So third base is where I would start. I would also consider, possibly adding a lefty starting pitcher again. We talked about that. Maybe like a Jose Quintana or someone just to add in. And then start filling out that outfielder DH. I like the Osuna idea. I think O'Hearn would be awesome.
He would probably be more desirable, right?
Yeah,
He's a
yeah.
long-term asset and a better guy.
So, yeah, any of those, like, two of those guys just take this team to another level yet. And so, yeah, it's right on the precipice, it feels like. You can see the path forward.
Yeah, I'm going to throw out some names that I like. I still think they need to do their veteran left-handed signing like we talked about on our last show. And I think like a Nestor Cortez even makes more sense now. You sign him with the understanding that, look, like you're going to have a spot in the rotation until Hunter Barco's ready. And if you're performing well, then we'll move Braxton Ashcraft to the bullpen and we'll have 2 lefties in the rotation. If you're not performing well, you get moved to the bullpen. Or we send you your walking papers. Either way. I also look at the potential moves, and I know everyone's thinking free agency, right? Everyone's thinking Okamoto or Murakami or, banging the table for Gino Suarez. I think they still have a lot of trade capital to work with as well, as far as prospects are concerned, because they haven't traded really any of them, Mark.
Yeah.
You look, I went into this offseason having conversations with people. I expected Tamar Johnson to be on the trade block. I expect Thomas Harrington to be on the trade block. I'm not sure about Harrington as much anymore just because they traded 2 young controllable pitchers. But if Tamar Johnson's still available to be moved, what can you get for him? Maybe Nick Gonzalez is available for business as well, that they just got a second baseman. Or maybe not. Maybe you just have Nick play as a backup for a year. Or Lau could DH sometimes, and it could be a platoon situation. But yeah, you have Tamar Johnson, who I think could be a movable prospect, potentially some other young pitchers as well. And if you want to maybe drop a deal for like Alec Bohm at third base, who has multiple years of control, who is a guy that I would see Philly being willing to move from, who's been reportedly in trade discussions. He's a guy I look at. And then that DH spot / outfield, you can fill that. in a multitude of ways. You could go shopping for another corner outfielder. You could get someone a little bit more affordable. You could, there's a lot of possibilities.
And I mean,
it is
also
interesting to see that.
Lau even possibly,
Yeah,
just because his defense is
right. I mean,
a little
you
suspect.
could hypothetically, play Lau in second base against righties. And then at lefties, you start Nick Gonzalez at second and you DH Lau, which again, you're using that DH spot to go lefty on lefty there. But I would take Lau lefty on lefty over just about every other option they have right now.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you have better alternatives. If you have Marcell Ozuna there, or if you have Ryan O'Hearn or whoever else, then yes, you have a different conversation. But yeah, I still think they have room to make another decent trade here.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe because like I said, I still think there are some prospects that are worth considering moving at the very least. And they should, even if Keller is around now, I still think they have room to add a little bit more payroll. I wouldn't expect multiple significant free agent signings. Heck, I wouldn't even expect one big free agent signing. But I think you're capable of signing a guy on a 1 year, $10 to $12 million deal. Someone like, again, Marcell Ozuna is a name I keep mentioning just because I feel like he's well in their price range and he's an upgrade at DH and he is another 20 to 30 home run bat. And you look at this potential lineup now, Mark, you're looking at Connor Griffin potentially being your leadoff hitter. You're looking at Lau being a top 3 guy in the lineup. And if you add Ozuna or a Suarez or someone like that, plus the platoon out in left field, that's half of your opening day lineup looking brand new and all of them being pretty good odds to be an upgrade over what you had there the year prior. So
and
you
keeping
have to feel good.
The majority of the rotation from last year too.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was like 7th in ERA, and they're all young and improving. And so we're going to see more Bubba Chandler. And I think the rotation could still be better than it was last year, even with the loss of Oviedo and Burrows. So it's exciting times.
Yeah. And I'll make one final note before we wrap up here. Having covered the Pirates, obviously, I've analyzed a lot of trades, and it always seems like their focus is long-term. They're always trading for controllable assets. And I think that's plagued them a bit. Their hesitancy to try to go and win now, per se. This is a win now move. I mean, the headliner, obviously, again, like we said in the show, I would have considered giving Burrows up for Mangum and Montgomery.
I think that was actually something we suggested. Not Mangum and Montgomery, but just Burrows for Lau.
Just controllable for controllable. I don't know if that would have been enough for me to pull the trigger there, but it definitely would have been something I considered. The fact that you add Lau, again, he's on the final year of his deal, and the Pirates obviously have an opportunity to extend this guy and do something more long-term if that's the case. But they're trying to win now. That's what this move shows. I mean, they traded a guy who, if his career plays out well, could have been in their starting rotation after Paul Skeens' window closes. But they moved him, and they got a guy who will definitely be in the top 4 or 5 spots in their batting order on opening day if he's healthy next year. So I like the move. Yeah. They've made 2 significant trades this year. And if I told you that by moving Yohan Oviedo and Michael Burrows, that they would be able to bring in Brandon Lowe, a young, controllable left field platoon, and a left-handed bullpen arm who throws 100. He's a little wild, but they've made success out of that before. I think every Pirates fan listening would have signed up for that from the very jump.
I mean, it's hard to look at like Twitter and see unanimously positive reactions to Pirates news. I've not seen anyone criticizing this move yet. I mean, I'm sure there is someone out there, but it seems pretty universal that everyone's excited and happy about this move. So, hey, good job, Pirates.
Absolutely. He's Mark, a.k.a. Platinum Key. I am Noah Hiles. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Bucco Territory presented by the Foul Territory Network. We will see you again soon. We'll see what other Pirates moves we have to talk about then.